Hey mathematicians, let's do your homework. All right, so we have this homework that was the last 2 pages, or the last double-sided page of your packet. And the first question is to list the numbers from the stem and leaf plot. So, for example, I'm not going to do the whole list, but you'd start with, oops, it would help if I hold my pen the right way. You'd start with 0, 5, which makes 5. And then 1, 7, which reading the key makes 17. And then you keep going, list all the numbers that are there. The spread is the biggest number, the maximum, minus the minimum. Whatever that answer is, that's your spread, also known as your range. The mode is the most common number. What number, when you list them all out here, it's even easier to see, what number is repeated the most? Not the biggest. What number is like written again and again and again, the most number of repeated times? That's what mode means. Number 2. What is the range of the data? Range is the same thing as spread. So biggest number, the maximum, minus the minimum. Tell me what that answer is. You might notice reading the key that we start at 109 for our minimum. Then we go to 205 and 223 and 252 and whoa, $990. That's what's called an outlier. And I'd like you to use that word in your sentence when you're explaining that that one is way different than all the others. It's much larger. How many tickets are at least $205? That means 205 or lower. So count them up. If you're having a hard time reading your stem and leaf plot, you can do what you did in part A and like write down here, literally write out the whole numbers so that you can look at that list instead. That's always an option. What percent of the ticket prices are under $225? So here's 223, 224s, under this point. Remember that to find a percent, you're counting up the part that are under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of the total number, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Ew. This is probably why the directions say, probably it is. This is why the directions say round to the nearest percent, because when you do this division, because there's no way to scale from 17 to 100, when you do this division problem, you're going to get a decimal that doesn't end. It's called a non-terminating decimal. So you are going to take it out, past the tenths, past the hundreds to the thousandths place, and then you can decide, okay, if that's a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to keep it the same. If it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm going to round up, and this number is actually going to change to be one number larger. On the back, everybody's back looks different here. In class, you came up with your question. I approved it. Most of you got most of your data in class. If you need to ask a few more people what your question is, that's fine, but you're writing your results down here. So for example, a lot of you asked, how many pets do you have? Not everybody has to do this. You should have already done this in class. So you already have your own question, but I'm just doing this as an example. Do you have? So then you're asking people, oh, Ms. Douglas, how many pets do you have? I have 2, Mouse and Piglet. Okay, Ms. Douglas's parents, how many pets do you have? They have 2. My parents named their cat Elsa, and they've never seen the movie Frozen, so they don't get why that's funny. But they have a cat named Elsa, and they just got a puppy, and his name is Neil, so they have 2. You go, you ask the next person, oh, they don't have pets, they have 0. So you're filling in the numbers next to the person number you asked, and then you're going to make a stem and leaf plot with that data. So remember that we're going to start by labeling it stem, and more than one leaf is called leaves. No more F, it changes to a V. Looking at my data, my stem and leaf plot might be different from somebody else's. Mine is going to have a lot of single-digit numbers, so I want to make sure that I start with 0. If the smallest number you have is 27, then you don't need to start at 0. You can start in the 20s and go 30s, 40s, 50s. It kind of depends on what type of data you've got. So I would say I'd start in the 1s, I'd move to the 10s, I highly doubt many people are saying I have 20 plus pets, but maybe they're counting all their fish and they have a giant fish tank. Maybe I'd need a 20. If I don't need a 30 and I don't need a 40, then I can stop. I can stop when it's appropriate based on the question and the data that I got. Everybody needs to have a key. The beauty of a key is it doesn't even need to be a number from your problem. But I started with 2, so I'm going to write 0, 2. Make this line a little bit taller than the rest of your numbers so that it doesn't look like a 1. That is, in the context of my problem, the number 2, and the units are pets. I didn't put a spot for it, but go ahead and put a title on your graph so that I can understand that you know what this graph is about. This is number of pets. Your graph might be titled number of siblings, or number of hours of anime you watched, or whatever your question was. Then just from these 3 numbers, I'll give you an example of what I'm looking for. The smallest number is 0, so 0 would go first. The next smallest number is 2. Oh, 2 people answered 2. In total, you should have 15 leaves in your graph because you got 15 people to answer your question. Everybody's graph is going to look different because everybody asked different questions and asked different people, and so they got different numbers and different answers. What I'm looking for is, can you make a key? Can you put things in order from least to greatest? Can you take a big pile of numbers and organize them into a stem and leaf plot? All right, that's it for our homework today. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.